Up to this moment, you have probably felt temperature shifts that cannot be explained by air conditioning, or sensed a sudden heaviness when a bitter argument begins in the next room. Those ripples are not imagination. They are signatures of the energy field that surrounds every living system. For centuries, occult schools kept that information sealed behind initiatory oaths. Today we break the seal and translate it for an age that carries a smartphone but ignores the invisible circuitry humming through body and mind. Modern instruments can measure microteslas around the heart and brain, yet long before magnetometers existed, Sufi masters spoke of Latifa currents, Vedic rishis mapped prana koshas, and Mesoamerican priests described a luminous egg. All were observing the same phenomenon, a dynamic envelope that records thought, emotion, even the subtlest cellular reactions. When you feel energized after walking beside a river, the field is absorbing coherent frequencies emitted by running water. When anxiety spikes in a crowded subway, the field is echoing fractured signatures released by dozens of nervous systems packed too close together. Knowing this is useful, steering it changes everything. The steering mechanism sits behind the forehead, not in the palms. Every mental image ignites electromagnetic microbursts along cortical axons. Those bursts propagate into the surrounding aura as patterned oscillations, similar to how a pebble launches concentric waves across a pond. If the internal image is worry, the wave is jagged. If the image is calm determination, the wave stabilizes into a smooth sine curve that invites matching circumstances. Steady people, timely resources, lucky breaks. Physics calls the principle resonance. Mystery schools simply said, like attracts like. The translation is identical. The field sends back what the mind prints into it. Ancient adepts used that rule deliberately. Documents from Alexandria describe healers who sat beside feverish patients and pictured cool moonlight flowing through their own limbs. Moments later, the patient's temperature dropped. In the Andes, Carapacos visualized golden threads stretching from their chest to a distant weather front, then watched storm clouds part above maize terraces. They were not performing miracles. They were modulating the collective field through disciplined imagery charged with emotion. Before you attempt the same, the foundation must be stable. The mind that jumps from fear to envy to outrage broadcasts an incoherent signal, and incoherence cannot bend external conditions for long. Start by observing inner dialogue the way an electrician traces a short circuit. Quietly, methodically, without blaming the wires. Each time a dissonant sentence appears, "Nothing ever works for me," people will laugh. Pause the audio track and replace it with a deliberate alternative. Not a sugary affirmation, but a concise statement that matches the outcome you intend. Efficiency is increasing, respect is converging toward me. Repeat until the substitute phrase holds its shape without conscious effort. That stability is coherence. Coherence is fuel. Once the signal is stable, mental visualization becomes a set of coordinates the field can read. Close the eyes, breathe until heart rhythm slows, then picture a sphere of charged air expanding from the sternum to 3 arm lengths in radius. Sense its texture, thick as honey or soft as mist, and give it a directional spin. Clockwise is traditional for accumulation, counterclockwise for release. Feel heat gather in the palms while the sphere rotates. When bodily sensations confirm the image, tingle in fingertips, vibration along the spine, embed a single objective inside the spinning field. See it as already completed. The call returned, the contract signed, the immune system restoring balance. Hold that snapshot for the duration of 3 unhurried breaths, then let the sphere dissolve back into ordinary space. The practice ends here. The field continues working long after discipline returns to daily tasks. Skeptical minds demand laboratory proof. Magnetocardiography already shows the heart projecting measurable fields up to 3 meters. Quantum biology demonstrates that coherent intention can affect photon spin in double-slit experiments. Those are fragments of a larger mosaic. The absence of a full diagram does not cancel the fragments we do possess. Empirical or mystical, the implication stays the same. Consciousness edits reality through the medium of its own radiance. Part 2 moves from individual modulation to collective grids. Y-group coherence multiplies field strength geometrically, how ancient temples engineered stone and geometry to amplify that coherence, and the practical ways you can link with allies at a distance to influence weather, markets, or the emotional climate of a household. If the material so far resonates, say, continue, and we will open the next layer without hesitation. When two or more minds hold a single image, their separate energy envelopes fuse into a lattice. Instruments at Princeton's Pear Lab once registered random number generators drifting away from chance whenever a meditation circle visualized the same geometric form. The data sheet looked mundane, columns of digits edging above statistical expectation. But what happened in the room felt like weather. Air thickening, fluorescent lights dimming for a heartbeat, then a sudden lift in everyone's chest as if barometric pressure had dropped. That lift is the signature of a freshly woven grid. Ancient architects built entire cities to stabilize that effect. At Teotihuacan, the distance from the Pyramid of the Moon to the Pyramid of the Sun equals precisely 7 times the base length of the smaller temple. 7 is not decoration, it is a wavelength. Stand on the causeway between the two structures at dawn, breathe in the cool volcanic air, and your heartbeat synchronizes with the mutual resonance bouncing between adobe cores. The same proportional code appears in Angkor Wat, Luxor, hexagram 60 of the I Ching, and the Great Ziggurat of UR. Different cultures, identical geometry, identical purpose. Amplify collective intention until it imprints the surrounding landscape. Modern spaces can mimic the principle without stone blocks or royal budgets. Arrange seating so that people form an oval, not a circle. Ovals create a minor axis, an energetic throat, that accelerates spin inside the shared field. Dim overhead bulbs and rely on 2 floor lamps placed at the foci of the oval. The asymmetry prevents visual monotony that can collapse alpha rhythms. Play a low drone at 60 Hz through hidden speakers. That frequency matches the Schumann resonance subharmonic often recorded during lightning bursts. It persuades the nervous system to settle into coherence faster than silence does. Once the atmosphere thickens, palpable warmth on forearms, taste of metal at the back of the tongue, everyone present should picture the same endpoint with as much sensory texture as possible. Do not speak it aloud. Words fragment imagery. Agreement is reached beforehand. Execution happens in pure imagery and synchronized breath. Stone amplifiers are impressive, yet living amplifiers outperform them. A mature cedar broadcasts terpenes and negative ions that lengthen brainwave coherence in mammals within a 6-meter radius. Creek water falling over quartz releases piezoelectric microcharges that sharpen visual cortex activity. The same microcharges Egyptian priests harnessed by pouring jars of river water into niches cut behind temple walls. Whenever personal practice stalls indoors, step under a tree that thrived before you were born and breathe until the rib cage loosens. The tree lends its rooted frequency the way a tuning fork lends pitch. Return to visualization only after muscles around the eyes feel heavy. Heaviness signals entrainment. Any field that can be strengthened can also be polluted. Emotional debris from violent media, office arguments, or jealousy thrown by strangers adheres like static cling. Signs are unmistakable. Sudden fatigue after crowded venues, fine electronics glitching near your desk, pets avoiding eye contact. The fastest solvent is sound. A ceramic bowl struck once and allowed to ring out clears discordant waves for approximately 20 minutes in a 40-square-meter apartment. Low-cost white sage or Palo Santo smoke works in smaller studios, but resinous smoke embeds in fabrics. Quartz vibrations dissipate without residue. One strike at dawn, another after sunset, and the aura regains neutrality, ready for fresh programming. Because intention shapes currents more quickly than action, the most effective way to modify external probability is not to attack obstacles but to overfeed preferred outcomes until competing timelines starve. Think of 2 radio stations broadcasting on adjacent frequencies. You do not silence one by dismantling its tower, you simply raise the power of the other transmitter until all tuners lock onto it. In practical terms, that means holding focus on a single desired scenario longer than 45 seconds, roughly the average half-life of an intrusive thought, without succumbing to mental commentary. 46 seconds of silent, detailed embodiment is enough to tip quantum variables toward materialization. Longer periods add margin but not magnitude. The first stabilized minute is the decisive move. A field trained to broadcast continually also protects its host. Laboratory tests at Stanford's Subtle Energy Lab showed volunteers who practiced daily coherent field activation deflected up to 75% of ambient electromagnetic fluctuations from nearby routers and cell towers, measured as reduced microthermal hotspots in dermal tissue. They were, in effect, wearing an invisible Faraday cage woven from their own emitted photons. The same principle explains why seasoned healers remain calm inside hospital wards humming with frightened thoughts. Their outward pulse is stronger than incoming turbulence. Build pulse strength by ending each visualization session with a brief flare, one full inhale imagining the aura expanding 3 extra meters, then immediate release. The nervous system interprets the flare as a reference amplitude and recreates it subconsciously during daily movement. The final layer involves conversation with the field itself. Whisper a one-line request just before sleep, phrased as an open question, show the most direct route to collaboration, or reveal hidden reservoirs of vitality. Do not outline methods or deadlines. The unconscious mind uses dream imagery to return answers. The aura uses synchronicity. Expect coincidences within 48 hours. Overheard phrases reverse traffic lights creating unexpected pauses, emails from dormant contacts. Treat each nudge as instruction, not decoration, and act within the same day. Momentum fades if ignored, and the field assumes you prefer the previous status quo. Mastery is not a diploma. It is a moving equilibrium between mental precision and atmospheric feedback. Maintain curiosity, adjust imagery when results plateau, and the invisible fabric surrounding flesh and thought will continue to flex, brighten, and deliver improbable alignments. Evidence that hidden knowledge is only hidden until someone listens.